You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today we have an amazing show for you. We have a special guest. Her name is Melina Salomon, and she is the CEO, founder of Ingomma, and we're going to learn all about that. We're going to learn about her today and the backstory. So first and foremost, I want to welcome you to the show and say how you doing today.
Hi, I'm great. Spring is coming. Beautiful day in New York.
That's what's up. And man, so shout out to you in New York, man. So when we are talking on Omni Folks Radio, we always try to get the best of the best, like talent and just stories. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I was born in the south of Brazil, Brazilian, and lived there a big part of my life. I came from a law family, but decided to run into design. And that's my passion, heart, strategic design, which is a very specific area of design. So I like a big problem. I like to see problems and solve problems in many ways. It can be products, it can be services, or any problem within a corporation or in my own corporation. After that, I moved to Toronto, Canada. I lived there for 8 years. So now in New York, this weather, people are complaining about being cold. I'm like, this is nothing. Come on, guys.
Right.
Live in Brazil was warm, and lives in Canada. -10 is a good day. This is awesome. So
That's crazy.
Yes, I love it here. And there I studied more design, did more schooling in design, with digital marketing in Sweden as a program, and created my own company, which was about sustainability and rubber. Was very lucky with that. Was the CEO of the company, won Entrepreneur of the Year award, Best Newcomer, which means the immigrant person of the year that raised the company more successfully in 2016. And it was a ride. And after that, the pandemic hit, and I decided that I wanted to go to a place where my heart was, and I moved to Manhattan. Worked in an insurance company, did a lot of consulting for insurance companies, trying to see what I could help within that industry, and now I'm in Manhattan.
And that's quite a journey. So for the audience, what was the process like building your own brand, and not just building your own brand, but setting the tone and getting yourself separated from the competition?
Getting myself separated from the competition was not that hard, because by itself, I was very unique. Just, being a woman and being an immigrant just sets yourself to be, to be very unique in a boardroom by default. Right, your opinions come from a perspective that it brings a life experience that nobody else will have. We speak 2 languages, in my case 3. So that from start is already something from a different perspective. I came from a design strategy background, which means that my way of seeing a problem, tackling a problem, comes from a more resourceful point of view. So that was already language that was not seen or talked very often. So my point of view was valued because of that.
And with that experience of having that perspective, what have you learned so far with your experience being able to just put yourself out there and also obtain new clients?
Right. So, well, in the being creative, because I think my heart and soul is being creative, we don't necessarily incline in the mathematical part of business and the more straightforward, part of business. And that was something that was a little painful in the beginning for me. just to be that focused, to be that savvy, to just really set yourself for the goals and make sure you don't go on tangents, make sure you understand what is the end game here, what are you trying to achieve, and, set those goals and leave a meeting with something accomplished. That was a struggle in the beginning. But after a while, you learn how to create a manageable goal and figuring it out what is the expectation that your team can achieve and do that. Yeah.
And as a woman in business, I mean, what do you say to all the amazing women out there who are in your shoes? They're CEO bosses and living their dream. What do you say to them as maybe they're just getting started? What would you say to that entrepreneur?
Well, I say the first, we need more of us because being a woman by default is a nurturing human being, right? We like to see people happy. We like to make sure that everybody's doing okay, right? So, what a company needs is to prosper. So our intent is always to make the company prosper in a sense, right? So I think we need more of us. That's the one motivation that I would say to any woman that wants to become a CEO, especially a CEO in a diversity kind of point of view, CEO within minorities, different languages, different backgrounds. Like, please just do it. That would be one thing. Just do it, I know it might hurt, but it's worth it. It's worth it, And the second part is that it's a learning process. Nobody's born knowing everything, but you can surround yourself with good advisors. So there is several organizations out there. CEO is a great organization. There is the amount of mentorship you can get by reaching out and asking for it is quite spectacular.
And with your experience learning your design and trade in Brazil, let's dive deeper into the culture, man, because I'm pretty sure those listening, by the way, listen to Hyman Focus Radio, we all are obsessed with learning new things. At least I hope so. But when it comes to the culture back in your homeland, let's tell the audience about that, man, because that's very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That's very sweet, Well, south of Brazil is borderline with Argentina. Brazil is huge. Brazil is the one country in South America that speaks Portuguese. The other countries in South America speak Spanish. So we're a little weird like that, right? We're the one country that speaks Portuguese. It is an extremely diverse country. I personally look very Caucasian, but my sister and I'm blonde. My sister is ginger. I have members of my family that are more like mulatto or black. So we are very diverse by default. So let me give you an example. When I'm in the subway and I hear somebody speaking Portuguese from Brazil, and I can hear the accent, I have to actually look to see who the person is. I couldn't point them out, right? That's how diverse a Brazilian person can look like. So I think in that way, when we're talking about culture and business and being from Brazil, being an executive from Brazil has that advantage. You can look literally like anything. I will give you like a story. When I moved to Manhattan, I was going out with a friend that I was introduced to a friend of a friend. And we went to a Korean wine restaurant. And the waiter came by and I saw a Brazilian dish in the menu. So I ordered. The name was pão de queijo, cheese bread. And I ordered in Portuguese. I said, "Can I have some cheese bread?" The waiter looked at me and he answered in Portuguese, like, "Of course, I will bring you some cheese bread." He looked Korean, correct? The friend was American, born, raised, absolutely American. She almost had a heart attack, right? She's like, "What's going on? This man's Korean. She clearly doesn't look Korean. What's going on? What's going on?" So I had to explain to her there's a part of Brazil that has a lot of Korean immigrants. And so Brazilian culture is very diverse. But the one thing we have in common is that we were colonized by the Portuguese. We have soccer, which is a sport that is coming to America. We have soccer. So that's coming. We have samba, carnival, which is amazing. And yeah.
And once again, we're talking to Melina Salomon and her amazing journey as an entrepreneur, as a CEO of her company, Ingomma. And for those just joining us, tell us a little bit about how the vision came for your company, because we had a little teaser, but what was the storyline of the why of you starting your own brand?
Right. So the idea of Ingomma came about recycling rubber and making patent technology of how to laser cut a specific kind of rubber that could be sustainable and reusable. So I decided to patent a specific kind of compost of rubber and to laser cut that compost of rubber in a very precise and delicate way. So we end up having a international patent technology, and we made accessories for the fashion industry and jewelry with that. So the company grew in that sense. Eventually, we had a software that helped us making those jewelries, and that was it. It was quite a journey. We were working with big fashion brands, and we were a B2B supplier, and also had our own personal jewelry brand.
And I know your typical day is no sleep, but when you are out there networking and telling other potential buyers or just supporters or investors about your brand, those listening, what's the starting point? How do you even approach that? Is it something you just get up and go, or is it a strategic plan where you...
Well, for me, honestly, I started with Kickstarter. I was one of the first people that decided to put a project on Kickstarter. For me, not everybody does that. I decided to bootstrap, what they call it, bootstrap. The company is no longer, the company was sold. So right now I'm doing consulting and working with other companies. Right now I'm actually in talks to be in hire for other companies to do projects for other people. But the company started as a Kickstarter project when Kickstarter was just launched in Canada, because it started in the US, and then you couldn't get a Kickstarter project in Canada. And then as soon as it launched in Canada, I was like, I'm going to try this out. So I put a project there, I made a video, and it got funded. So I had to deliver the product. When I had to deliver the product, I traveled to India, because nobody could cut the rubber the way I wanted in Canada. I tried to find suppliers in Canada. Nobody was willing to try. So I said, well, too bad. I'm going to have to travel to India. So I got into a plane, went to India. Mind you, I didn't speak the language, but I went there. And my partner at the time, my friend at the time, partner, was Indian. He was like, fair enough, you come to my house, my family will welcome you, and we did it. We finished all the production, we delivered, and that went from there. I got accepted to my first accelerator program, which is called Founders Institute. Graduated as the first of the class. Then went from there.
Man, you make it sound really easy. I know it's the opposite, but
no, it's not easy. It was not easy, but it was just not giving up. It was not easy, and it was not overnight. It took a long time.
And for those who are questioning, well, man, what's the secret sauce? Like, what's the formula that I can follow? And I know there's no real secret. Secret is basically hard work and having a target goal. What was the process like, though? Because you mentioned about, there is a struggle. It's not just easy where everything just falls in place with magic.
No, never.
Touch on that for the audience.
Right. So, well, maybe it is. Not for me. Maybe for some people right? Maybe there is unicorns out there, right? Maybe there is. They call it unicorns, a unicorn company, right? They wake up one day and it's like, wow, that happened to me. What amazing.
Yeah.
Not my case. But I had good friends. I had an amazing family. I was not afraid to ask for help. And I was not afraid to say I didn't know something when I didn't. So sometimes when I'm like, let me give you an example. When I was in my first accelerator, mind you, English was not my first language. So I was terrified of pitching in front of VCs, right? Venture capital. Terrified. First, I was like 25, so looked like a child. Second, English was not my first language. So I was like, people were like pitching during like diabetes. And I was pitching like, I want to make jewelry that is rubber sustainable. You know, I was like, oh my God, this is not going to go well for me, right? This is not going to go well. There's no way I'm going to do well here. But I did it anyway. And I know if somebody gave me that advice at that time, I'll probably say, get out of here. like, go do something else, you know, like do it yourself then. But the honest truth is that you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to believe it and validate and listen. And I listened every time they said something that made sense and they pointed out a loophole in my plan. I came back and I found the right advisor and I did the work.
See, this is very interesting, by the way. We're talking to Melina Salomon and the CEO in Ingomma. And so let me get this right. You end up selling the company, right?
I'm in the process of selling the company.
That is major. So explain that for the audience, because those who are not entrepreneurs. Oh, you can't explain?
I can't. He's like, tell me more about that. I can't.
It's a secret. It's a secret. But yeah, I get what you're saying. There's details that is not for this show right now. But for those who are interested for a company XYZ who is going to sell their brand without putting your personal stuff out there.
Sell a lot of things. You can sell your brand. You can sell your patents. You can sell your time. There's a lot of things. You can sell as expertise. You can sell a company that comes with your expertise.
Because those who are listening might be interested, how in the world does that work? Now, without saying your personal details, what does a company XYZ, what position should they be in for that opportunity to be able to even be available?
Depends if they're pre-revenue or post-revenue.
And what does that mean for those who don't know?
If they are adding value to a already existing company, if they are selling a solution to a company, that if you have a solution to a company and you want to sell that and they want to implement that within their corporation and you have the secret sauce and you can say, well, take that. I'm going to tell you how. You don't have to invest in R&D. So take that. Correct? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What's interesting, because I know I'm pretty in the hot seat right there, but what's interesting is we live in a world that's fast paced. Mm-hmm. And a lot of entrepreneurs, they want things very fast. They want to scale up very fast. They want a client, like they want to go viral tomorrow, not next year.
Yeah, that would be great.
What words of wisdom would you give to entrepreneurs out there who are trying to build a brand, but maybe they are going at it the wrong way as far as marketing themselves? What advice will you give to them based on your own personal experience? On the scale, looking down 10,000 feet off the ground.
Marketing is about your niche, right? So it's about finding the people that, this word is awful, but just vibe with you, right? The vibe with you, that have the same interest, that like similar things that you like and that can add value to the things that you already like, that can give you feedback about the things you already like. It's like making friends. So it's making friends. And I know it sounds very vague, but when you find that niche, the conversation becomes fluid. I personally, the one pitfall on my entrepreneur journey was, this was like going back in the days. If I had to do marketing for somebody else, I would, but I would not do marketing for me. They were like, Melina, go, you won this award, just go there, take it. I'm like, no. They're like, take the award. I'm like, I don't want it. Do it yourself. They're like, just go there, say a speech, smile. I'm like, I don't want to. It was not part of my personality to seek for attention. So right now, what I'm doing, even talking to you, is very out of my comfort zone. Right? So you're asking the wrong person in that behalf. Personal branding is a journey I'm just starting right now. Right? So
Actually,
that question.
This is my first time I'm going to disagree with my guest, because I think you're the perfect person to talk about that, because I know we can't see you, but we can hear you. And you are someone, I still say you're still someone I believe is unique, because I'm going to say the fact that you're on this show, there's going to be people all around the world listening to this podcast. And I feel like you're going to be inspiration to a lot of women out there who are either trying to start their own business, their own brand, or those who just need a boost of motivation, who may be stuck in a plateau and they're trying to go to the next level. You, as an entrepreneur, you have a platform now. You have a set of influence. What is, in your opinion, what do you want your legacy to be when it's all said and done? When you're done doing all the entrepreneur stuff, what is your legacy?
I think people should help each other and be kind, man, because it's tough out there, and there is enough for everybody. There is enough for everybody. There really is.
You see, that's why I asked that question, man, because I mean, you have this. You have this very get to the point like vibe, and I like that, because that's true leadership. Because leaders, great leaders, they know the target that they want to hit. Bad leaders are the ones they put out 10,000 targets and they just talk about it all day. You seem to be the type of person that I know what I want to do in this world. I'm gonna go for it. Did you always have that type of mindset, or was that something that you had to develop along the way?
Well, I think my family will tell you I do. My family will tell you yes. I was asking my uncle, actually. Yeah, it was a big influence in my life, and he was telling me a story about when I was young, about him doing push-ups. At the time, he was just coming back from the military. Today he's a lawyer, but he was doing push-ups. And then I was like 4 or something. And then I came to see him because he was like he was making it sound like he was in pain, right? So I came and I was like, oh my God, like he's hurting. And I called the whole family. I was like, look, he's hurting. Like, what's going on? They didn't understand he was doing push-ups. And then he told me in Portuguese, of course. I'm translating as we speak. He told me like, well, this is okay. I'm just doing push-ups because I need to like train my strength. And then I sat on top of his belly and I made the whole family watch him doing push-ups. And then he did his best run of push-ups by the end of that run. And I of course I don't remember that story. It was 4, right? But he said it was like his best run of push-ups. And I think it's very sweet, right? Because my first default was like, no, don't be in pain. And then he said, no, this is good for me. I'm going to do it. Like I can do it better. And then I said, well, if you're going to do it better, Let's bring everybody together and watch you finish, right?
Yeah, man, it sounds like you've been listening to this show because I like to put metaphors out there. And what I got from that story, for those who listen, it doesn't matter the pain that comes with the process, because sometimes it's necessary for growth and it's necessary for your story. Because I just talked to someone recently where they was talking about your story is your fingerprint, is you. It's the real you. And without that part of the story, it's like it's something missing when people are seeing you as a person, whether you're marketing yourself or you're branding a business or a service. That is a part of you, your whole story. Before we let you go, because time always flies and we're having fun, what do you say? Because you talk about spreading happiness and love. What would you say to the next generation of dreamers and leaders, future leaders? What message would you give to them?
Oh my God, I think they're so smart. Children are born so smart nowadays. It's astonishing, right? Astonishing. But I think it's important to not forget where things come from, where food comes from, right? Where like products come from. Because some things will never change, you know? And although we have all these amazing technologies, water needs to be here, you know? Air needs to be here.
You got to the point. I love it. See, that's what I'm talking about.
People need to be alive. We can do things faster, but I mean, if we're not alive, then what's good for that?
Man, like that right there is what I'm talking about, because a lot of us, we get excited about life, but we also get caught up with what everyone else is doing. We want to compete. There's nothing wrong with competition, but it becomes a problem when you allow what someone else is doing start to be a comparison to what you have in front of you. Like a lot of times, instead of seeing 10 years from now, we see where we are right now. And a lot of people can get caught up in emotions and start comparing themselves to other people versus trusting the process and growing, developing themselves. How have you, as an individual, before we let you go, kept yourself focused on your goals without comparing yourself to other people?
I do compare myself with other people all the time. I just, in the end of the day, I go to sleep when I can, and I wake up the other day and decide what feels right for me. I do compare myself. There's no way you cannot compare yourself to other people. There is stigmas in society about age, about gender, about so many things, and I just try my best to dodge the bullet. Dodge the bullet, when it's possible. Because they're still there. They're all there. They will forever be.
That's a unique perspective. And I like it. I like what you're saying. You're basically saying it's okay to a certain degree, right? To a certain limit. To compare yourself, right?
Yeah, disagree. Because if you don't, there's a thing. If you don't have perspective, if you cannot look at something a little bit better or look at something a little bit worse, then you don't know where you're standing.
Bam. Okay. I like that. Well, once again, we've been in the honor of having the opportunity to talk to Melina Salomon, and we always have great people on the show, and I want to thank you for your time to be on the show, because
thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I'll let you have the last words. What would you like to tell our listeners? And if they can find you somewhere, because it's kind of hard to find you, but if you have a message to our listeners, man, what would you like to tell them?
So here's my promise. I will make it easier to find me, okay? That's a good advice. I will make it easier to find me. So you can find me on my Instagram. It's MT, like Tom, Salomon. And you can find me on LinkedIn, which is Melina Salomon. And my email is the same for 20 years. So you can find it on my LinkedIn too. Okay, I do reply to my emails. I do. And I would like to say that it was a pleasure talking to you. And I appreciate so much the time we had. It's not very often that I get to talk about things that are not very objective, that is about life perspective. And I really appreciate talking about life because this is very important.
I love it. Well, like we say on every single show on Are You Focused Radio, keep God first, stay focused, and peace.